everybody. Last week, we were silly spooky. This week, we're spooky. Not scary. That's why the lights are on. Because
That's why I turned my kitchen light is on, like, in front of me, because I don't want...
Right? I tried watching this at night.
You're an idiot.
Within the first 15 minutes, I was like, what are you doing right now? We're going to try this tomorrow morning. What are we doing right now?
It's not even that, to me, it wasn't even that scary. I actually forgot that we had watched this before. Me and B did, like, a while ago. And he told me, when I told him what we were doing, he was like, we watched that. And I was like, maybe. And then when we got into it, I was like, okay, yeah.
So the movie we're talking about is Veronica. It came out in 2017. And it was big on Netflix. I remember watching it because everyone was putting this on their list of, like, definitely top scariest movies, will definitely freak you out. So I was like, oh yeah, I totally got to watch that. And so yes, this was my second time watching it. And I had to text you and be like, it's really hard to watch because it is in Spanish.
Right.
It is from España, Spain, and set in Madrid. And so you do got to read the subtitles, which for my beautiful ADHD mind is just like, no, I gotta go over everywhere and fidget. And so you're probably gonna have to correct me, because while I did try to, like, rewind things, definitely missed some dialogue for sure.
That's okay.
So yeah, so just warning everybody now, this is not going to be the most comprehensive overview.
I looked, and it is translated into almost every other language. I don't know why they never dubbed it
I would
English.
even take a shitty dub, it could be like the old Japanese ones, but that would help me.
It's in, like, Russian.
So much.
It's in, like, I'm telling you, like, almost every language except for
they were like,
English.
Americans, fuck them.
Right? The Americans will watch anything if you make it good, so we don't need to put any money.
And it is a good movie. It is definitely a good movie.
It's good.
So
yeah.
you come in on a 911 call, and it's set in 1991, and it gives you, luckily they did even translate the writing, because I was like, oh shit, I don't know what the fuck it's saying, but it translated it, so you're good. So it is set in 1991, and they're kind of walking through this apartment, and it's not like you see people. I feel like you don't see people. It's more like camera moving through, and it's trashed.
Yeah, it's dark.
And it's voice over the 911 call of, like, a girl crying. They're in the house, kids are crying and stuff, and then they just kind of like hangs up, and then it gives you the, like, this is based on a true story.
Yeah, she's saying, like, he got in, he's in here or something, and the lady's like, who? And she's like, he's in here, and she's like, who?
Yeah, and she's like, give me your address. And so she gives her the address like 3 times in a row, and then they scream, and then line cuts out.
Yep.
So then you jump to 3 days earlier, and you have a teenage girl. I was thinking she's about 15, and I was right. She's about 15. She's a 9th grader. She says it in the movie. And she's having to, like, wake up. She has 2 sisters and a little baby brother who looks like 3. And once again, this is just a horror staple, apparently. Adorable little children. Your adorable little child needs to be in the movie.
I will say, though, for these child actors, they did such a good job of acting like actual children. Like, even the way that they were moving their head, and, like, when they're talking to each other, they're doing other things. It doesn't feel like you're watching children be directed and how to act. It feels like they were like, here's your lines. Act like you're actually brother and sister. Act like you do at home. And then the kids are just like, okay. And they're, like, kind of all over the place. And it was so good.
Might need to look into that. Maybe over in Europe, they just treat their child actors better, which I might put my money on.
Probably not the whole of Europe. Britain, no. Britain is like mini Hollywood. They don't treat their child actors maybe marginally better than they do in the United States. Yeah, just on a sliding scale, they're still pretty close.
Yeah.
To how Hollywood treats them. Maybe in the other places, but I don't. Like I said, those children acted like just real everyday children.
Yeah,
walking around with each other.
And little Antonio with his thick ass glasses Like,
He was so cute. They would see his
biggest
like
eyes.
bottle caps.
Yeah, I mean, they were thick glasses. You could see them. They were like an inch, which made his eyes just look even bigger. And so you already get the feeling of like, and no parents are in the house. So, well, you think no parents are in the house. She eventually does go in her mom's room and her mom is sleeping and she's looking for a photo. And you kind of piece together that, well, you're either going, mom's an alcoholic. Cause my first thought was, oh, mom's an alcoholic. But she's just a single working mom who works nights. So she sleeps a lot during the day. And then, I think at this point you're like, she's looking for a photo of her dad. Dad's probably dead. Like,
And
you
she's
don't
looking
tend to,
for the film, the old school film that cameras used to produce.
yeah. She
Because
was specifically looking for that photo though, because
right,
they
but she
are
was
looking for their
also
whole
looking
eclipse project.
right,
But she had other plans for what was happening during that project. So she was going for that photo
right.
specifically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and when I was watching this, I did have to be like, man, these kids are like super mature. Cause like she's 15, Antonio, the little boy, is like 3, and the 2 little girls, I'm gonna say 7, 8, like
Yeah.
not even double digits yet, but not so young that they're like kindergartners. But and these
Yeah,
kids,
they
she's
were
just
like
like, get
first,
up,
second
go
grade.
fix your breakfast. Like they're pretty much just taking care of themselves. And
Right.
which is sad in some ways because you just know they have to be to survive because mom's busy. But like also some part of me is kind of like, I wish my kids would do that.
Firefly kind of does that. I don't have to remind her of a lot of things very often. Like
Yeah,
showering, I'll remind her like you need to go shower, but then she just does it in her own time. I don't have to deal
yeah,
with it. We don't do stringent homework rules in this house. Like she doesn't come home and it's immediate sit down and do your homework before you do anything else. Because this child will put herself to bed. Her bedtime is about 10 o'clock. She will put herself to bed and then she will wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, get up, come downstairs, get herself something to eat, do her homework for that day, and then just fuck around in her room until I wake up as the late
yeah.
one. So she kind
I
of
don't have
does.
that. I tried to get that. That was my goal. Nope. I don't have that. I have children who can literally do things for themselves and will still opt to go, oh, mommy, come fix this for me. Ma, like they are up my butt. And then part of me goes, it's because they love me and I have done something right because they want to spend so much time with me. But the part of me that does want to sleep in goes, fucking hey, go make your own breakfast, please.
See, Firefly has gotten in trouble, not at my house, but at her dad's house. She got in trouble because he sleeps even later than I do because he works weird hours and stuff. And
Yeah.
she's with him on the weekends. So it's like, whatever. He was be sleeping at like 10 o'clock and then he would get up and she would be on the fucking stove cooking herself a grilled cheese. She's 10 years old on the stove cooking a grilled cheese. And she's like, I didn't want to wake you up. That was a day. She got in trouble for that because you're not allowed to use knives and you're not allowed to use the fucking stove.
Yeah.
So it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes it's like you chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
You're 10 years old.
No, I did. So my 8-year-old did start, he wanted grilled cheese. He knows he's not allowed to use the stove. So he popped those bitches in the toaster and then put cheese in the middle and it just melted because it was already hot. And he's like, cheese sandwich, mommy. And I was like, hey, bud, good thinking.
Ingenuity.
There you go. Okay. So back on track, these good kids, they all get out of the house. And they're off to their Catholic school because, Spain,
It's Spain.
Catholicism kind of goes
Yeah.
together. Oh, I wrote it down because a lot in this movie you see they live in an apartment building and through her window she can see another teenage girl and that teenage girl is like living the teenage life. She's just dancing in her room and she catch herself staring at her and you're just kind of like she longs to be a teenager, but she can't because she has responsibilities and stuff. So they come back to this girl a lot.
And see,
uh
when I first saw this, I thought, oh, she's gay and she's going to Catholic school. That was my
so
first thought. I was like,
a
Sappho?
part of me was like, but they
Sappho?
almost
But they don't go
nothing else
there.
touches on that. So I really
Yeah.
feel like it's more commentary of her wanting a childhood and jealousy over a counterpart over I want to do that chick.
Right.
right now.
Yeah. But the first
Like,
time you see her staring out the window into this other girl's bedroom, I was like, "Mm."
um okay, so now she's at school. They're learning about the eclipse, and I just want to say, great eclipse info coming out of this
Yeah,
school.
it was
Like,
real science.
it was real, it was good stuff. And her friend, like, class is exiting because they're gonna go watch the eclipse, and she causes her friend to like hold back, so they're like the last ones out of class so they can veer off. And then she's like, come on, let's go do this thing. And the friend's like, well, hold on, we have to wait for, I don't remember her name, so I'm gonna call her Becky because she was blonde. And so so she's like, why would you invite Becky? And she's like, I just said what we were doing out loud and Becky decided to join. Besides, it works better with odd numbers, which I meant to look up and then I didn't. But I don't think that's factual from what I know about Ouija boards. But spoiler alert, they're gonna go play with the Ouija board. And then she's also like, well, Becky also lost her boyfriend and she wants to talk to him too, so it's fine. Like, we'll all just talk to dead people. So Becky shows up, they go down into the creepiest fucking basement ever. And it's old and it's like all concrete and there's weird stuff down there. And they had to climb down, which I feel like is a really unsafe ladder for anybody, like even nuns, you know?
Yeah.
And so you're like already set up, like, oh, you guys are about to get fucked up in this creepy ass basement in a
Yep.
fucking Catholic school. Come on.
Yep.
Come on. Then they pull out the Ouija board and I was like, huh, that looks nothing like our Ouija boards.
Yeah, it was
Like,
interesting. It was a really
yeah,
cool design.
because they had, it was like a sun and the moon, and their letters were in a circle, and their yes and no was in the middle, and then
Right.
other things were kind of on the outskirts. While ours is more like all the letters in the middle, and
Yeah,
yes and
it's
no are
like
up top. I think something like that.
yeah.
Um.
Yeah. I
So
still
yeah,
don't
I
want
was
it in
kind of
my
like,
house, but it was interesting.
yeah, I will never have one in my house. It will never happen.
No.
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 Number one rule: no Ouija boards. Nuh-uh. So they're doing the number one. You don't, no. And then they do it during an eclipse. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, there's too much lore around eclipse and thinning of veils. No. If we're
Well,
gonna
that's
do
why they
Ouija
chose
boards,
it.
well,
Because she has like she has this little it looked like a magazine, but I guess it was a book of like
she
occult.
does show later on, like down the movie, once she's trying to figure out how to get the demons out. She rebuys it from like the newspaper stand, and it was like a whole kit, the Ouija board with the
Yeah,
how-to book.
you're right. Yep. I forgot about that. But yeah.
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 So yeah, she has a little how-to book out. They got a little cup, which also different than ours comes with the planchette. Theirs did not. You have to bring your own cup.
Yep.
And
If you can't afford store bought.
hey, bud, Ouijaing is for the rich only. Okay.
Class divides for your
Right.
Ouija board.
So so they put their little fingers on, and I will say this was insulting, but I had to do it because each girl puts their finger on like one at a time, and then she puts her finger on last. And why was her finger so fucking big? Like, it made me be like, why is there a man finger there? Like, because the other girls were like little girl fingers, and then it was like,
Bitch,
boom. And I feel like I'm okay to say that though, because I have big hands. I'm a taller girl. I'm a thicker girl, you know. But I even feel like my finger doesn't look that much bigger than like counterparts, or like, I don't know. It was a very manly finger, and it made me feel like maybe she couldn't make it that day filming. And
and
so they were
so they
like,
had
hey,
to
Chuck, just
stand
put
in.
your finger on. We got to get this scene. Just,
It's
you
like
know?
it's like an audio dude or a PA.
Yeah. They were like, Stephanie can't make it, guys. Just put a finger in. We just need this quick shot and we'll be done. We'll be done.
Jesus Christ.
So they start the seance, and it's clicking back between, like, her sisters are upstairs and they're realizing she's not there, but they're still watching the eclipse. And then there's a blind nun, and they show her like she can feel something's off with the force, you know?
Mhm.
And while they're down there, the cup's core starts moving, and the two girls are like, oh, and she's just like, and then shit gets crazy. Cup goes in circles. Cup stings both of the other girls, but
It
her
gets hot.
finger's stuck.
Yeah.
And then Cup shatters, causing her blood to hit the board as the eclipse is going. I'm like, blood sacrifice. What have we done? What have we done? The whole concrete cracks, the whole board cracks. She's seasoned. Everyone's scared. And they've dropped lights. Candles have been blown out. They pick up the flashlights. They realize she's on the ground whispering something. And the one friend gets close to her ear, but they don't tell you what she's saying. You just see she's whispering. The friend's like, oh shit, fuck that. And they go get the nurse. And then the next scene is her in the nurse. And I really thought, I was like, man, you're kind of an asshole, nurse. Like, at best, even if you, like, that nobody thinks anything paranormal happened. It's just a girl who fainted, right? But like, even if that is what, like, she's very much just like, have you fainted before?
Do you got diabetes?
Right.
Right.
And she's like out of it. She's like, oh, like looking at her. She's like, hey, pay attention. Do you have diabetes? And she's like, oh. Like, I'm like, she's a kid who just fainted. Why are you like?
Do they
so
not have
mean to her?
records? They don't have records in the
Right?
school, like nurse
If
records.
they didn't, like, you want to get the girl a glass of water? My God.
Right?
Like, why
Jesus
are you barking at her?
Christ.
And then she's like, well, do you have your period? And then she's just like, and you realize she's never had a period. And the nurse is like, Why do
you need that?
And I'm just like, what was the dramatics for? Like, what was that? And then the nurse is just like, well, it's probably an iron deficiency. Go eat some red meat. And then she's like, you can sit here for like 5 more minutes because class is almost over, but then like go fucking back to class, like just like not having it. And I was just like, you know what? I feel like our nurses are a lot like that too. Like I dealt with a lot of shitty school nurses that were just kind of like, oh, but did you die? Go back.
Right.
Like,
like, are you actively bleeding out on my floor? We have a minute. I was wrong.
Yeah. So then she goes outside, she sees her sisters, and in this scene, the sister, she's like, okay, let's go home. And the sister runs back to grab something, and I was like, oh shit, is that one of those big 90s brick phones? Like, that she's carrying around, and you later kind of figure they have walkie-talkies. The two little sisters are always walkie-talkieing each other. So it's technically not a cell phone, but I really feel like they made it look like it was a cell phone. Like,
yeah,
it's 91. Those things existed in 91, right? Like,
yeah, you're about to get cut off. That was my fault. I was wrong.
You are wrong.
Oops.
It's her fault, people. And we're back. Okay. So as soon as she gets home, she has the broken, burnt Ouija board, and she stuffs it in her backpack, and she tries to put it up, hide it on her closet wardrobe thing, and that bitch keeps flying off. And I was like, it's already fucking started. We're already going big. Usually
here we go.
Things that they don't notice. This right in there. Just, I'm surprised they didn't slap her in the face. And then so she's having, her mom works at a bar at night, so she is having to like take care of her siblings, fix them dinner. Well, now because their mom gets leftovers from the bar, they did visit her and then they went home, so she just had to set up dinner, not cook it, but have dinner. And she does this weird thing during dinner too, where she's like, can't eat the meatball, and then
what?
And then she's puking, and they're like,
it's just like sauce.
And the sister drops her milk, and then she's like, wait, what happened? And they're like, you fucking froze up there, bud. Like, and I was like, that's fucking scary, bro. That'd be super scary, especially as like a little kid to like see that.
Yeah, it's just like reboot the system.
Yeah. And then at night, she is giving the baby a bath, and she went to walk away because she heard something in her room, and she comes back and the baby's burned up. Like,
yep,
super hot water.
Yep.
And then she's like tucking him in at night. She's like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, it wasn't you. And I was like, there it is. They're gonna eat the baby now.
Right.
They've already showed themselves to him. So this is when you get her first nightmare. And one thing I like about how they did her nightmares is you don't realize she's having the nightmare. They did a really good job of making that very succinct, where you're just like, oh shit. Oh, okay. She was sleeping. But like, but
Yeah.
this one, I was like, ultimate nightmare, naked dad. That's full
Yeah, in a
frontal.
corner in the dark
Full
room, just
frontal.
being like, Veronica,
Yeah.
Veronica. I was like,
But I was like, even if it wasn't like dead dad, whatever, why are you naked? Like,
standing in the
fucking
dark.
dad, what is
Fucking
happening? Like,
creep.
put it away, father. Put it away. Not that kind of party. And then you're reminded circumcision, not a big thing in Europe. Like,
Good for them.
and full bush too.
Yeah.
Full bush. It wasn't doing him any favors.
No. Jesus Christ.
So like he's coming towards her, and then these dark hands pop out of her bed and like grab onto her, and she's like choking and stuff, and then she wakes up and she's like, oh shit, oh fuck.
Yep.
But I think this is where she gets the mark on her, or like notices there is a mark on her arm.
Yeah.
And like that's the, oh shit, that did happen, bro.
Right.
So she has the mark. And but she still gets up, gets the kids ready, and goes to school.
Yep.
Right? No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They go to
Yeah,
school.
she goes to school, but she's obviously worried. And I want to say this is where like she goes to start to throw a note to her friend, but when she turned around to do it, yes, kids, let's explain this real quick. Back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. So you had to tear up a piece of paper and write on it and fold it and chuck it at your friend.
Yep.
So the teacher wouldn't notice. Anyway, she goes to do that to her friend, but she realizes the friend's passing notes to fucking Becky.
Right.
Fucking Becky. And so she holds her note back. And I'm just like, oh, it's starting. She's getting isolated, and that's where they get you, man. So she ends up, I wrote blind. Oh, she goes back down to the basement.
Yep, she does.
Yeah, because she is trying to figure out what's happening, and the blind nun is down there, and the blind nun is like, yeah. Oh, and she finds, so during the seance, the pictures and stuff burnt up, but she finds her dad's picture perfectly intact, and she's holding it, and the blind nun is like, what you doing? Like,
yep.
And she's like,
going on?
She says something in the plural. So the girl goes, what are you talking? It's only me here. And she's like, nah, you're not alone. You might want to protect your siblings. Like, and I'm like, dang.
Yeah, she says something like, I don't even remember exactly what she said, but it was super cryptic, but it was very much like, hey, yo, I know you did something and I know that you fucked up.
Yeah.
So,
She's
like,
like, I
whatever you
fucking
did.
see their asses. Like,
Yeah, she's like walking around to like the concrete walls and stuff, and like holding her hands up and just generally being a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, while smoking.
While
and then
smoking
she walks up to her and goes full on, let me tell you a secret. Like, I'm sorry, is the nicotine gonna keep the demons away? Why are you blowing smoke on this girl? And she tells her all fucking cryptic and like pretty much, you didn't say goodbye. You need to close the door and stuff like that. Like, and fucking hold on to your undies because you're about to get fucked up.
Right.
And then she leaves. Like the bell rings. And then she's coming out of school and she sees her friend. Her friend's name is Rosa. She calls over to her. And Rosa and Becky are talking to a boy on the motorcycle, which made me immediately go, I thought her fucking boyfriend died. Right. Wasn't that why she was at the seance? But then Rosa comes over and Veronica is like, who is that? And Rosa's like, oh, that's my cousin. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, you lying, Rosa.
You don't know him.
Liar right now.
He goes to a different school.
Yeah. You're not being a good friend, Rosa. So,
and then Becky comes over and spills the beans.
Yeah. So, because Veronica's like, hey, when can we hang out and stuff? And she's like, oh, I'm just kind of busy, and I couldn't hang out yesterday because I was also busy. And then Becky comes over and is like, oh, we need to go buy new outfits for the party. Oh, yeah. Did you want to come, Veronica? I was like, you dirty bitch. And Veronica, of course, looks at Rosa like, why didn't you tell me? And she's like, and Becky's like, we told you right now. So do you want to come or not? Oh, wait, you can't. You have to take care of your siblings. And then they walk off giggling. I was like,
Jesus Christ.
fuck you, Becky.
Right?
Fuck you. That's why I didn't even bother remembering your name. You're a shit character. So then I felt bad for her. So then she goes home because she is panicked now. And this was what I did find weird. I found this very interesting. You're in a very Catholic country, like your whole country is very Catholic. You go to a Catholic school, but you immediately draw like Druid symbols as your protection symbols. Because the nun was like, protect your siblings, so she's drawing protect. But instead of covering the house with crosses, which would even be like my main thing, like as a Christian, I'm gonna put crosses everywhere. She goes with like, I want to say they're Druid symbols, but you see them most like in Norse. The people who are like very into the Vikings and stuff, you'll see them with the like symbols on their foreheads and shit like that when they're
Which is not
their
actual.
costumes.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
actual Viking shit. But
No,
yeah,
yeah.
she
That's
starts
why I was
drawing
like, I
like
think
a
it's
cult.
Druid. I don't want to say Viking symbol because I know
It's
that's
not
not right. But
it's
you
not really
see the
druid.
people who like, I don't want to call them cosplayers because I know that like they do believe in the Viking
Yeah, but they're
culture and
doing it
stuff.
wrong. I will call them
Yeah,
out for doing it wrong. Yeah,
yeah.
and those weren't I mean, I guess the closest you could get to those symbols of categorizing them would be some kind of pagan symbol mixed probably with some Christian
Well, I
influence
will say, so I
initially.
was like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it just looks similar. But later on, when she gives the brother the book to go draw on the walls, it
Mhm.
even says in the book, the Viking one, it says Viking. And then he flips the
Yeah.
page to go draw something else. And I couldn't read that word. So I don't know what culture he pulled that from. But it was like a book of different cultures. And it says Viking in the top. So I was like,
Yeah, but I mean, this is especially in the 90s, like the history has always been so muddied with that. Like
oh, yeah.
I what I'm saying is like they can say that, but like at the end of the day those were most likely just made up fucking symbols with different
Yeah.
influences. Like that's no, that's not how it really works. But I along that same vein, I don't understand why she didn't go to a priest.
That too. Like,
Like
why didn't you ask
why
maybe
are
more
you
nuns go?
DIYing it?
But
Why
that was
why
my whole thing. Like, I don't, it doesn't matter to me what symbol she chose. It's just such an awkward thing to me that they don't fully like relate to.
they
Of
don't
why would
explain?
someone with
Yeah.
clearly such strong of this faith automatically go like way left? Like, you didn't even attempt to
Yeah, it
grab
was
your
weird.
cross in your house. You just went straight for the witchcraft, pretty much. Like, it
Yeah,
was weird.
she
It was
attempts to
weird to
use the
me.
crosses later,
Yeah,
but like
one time, and
it
she like
wasn't like
makes a
her.
homemade cross too. Like it's made out of like a I want to say it was a bottle opener, and she just made it look like a cross, which was also awkward because I was like, you have a giant crucifix in your house. They keep showing it falling off the wall, which is like
Yeah,
number one, demons in the house.
it was
Like,
just super weird. It's like they wanted it to look like a culty, but they didn't do any actual like research in any of it,
which
and they
I
didn't
mean,
care
do they
enough.
ever? Do they ever?
Sometimes they attempt. A24 is usually decent at like the attempt of showing you that it's like steered towards this one culture or one ancient religion or whatever, but for the most part it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Like the only thing that
Yeah,
was real in the whole thing is the fucking Ouija board. Other
yeah.
than that it's just a bunch of stupid bullshit. But yeah, she doesn't go to a
Oh,
priest or anything. She just tries to
no,
DIY by hanging pieces of paper up around the
I
house.
know. Which was another thing that I was like, I'm sorry, what book is that in? What book is that I could just draw a picture of a seal and just place it to a
This is
roof and
not
be like,
supernatural.
you're protected.
That's not how things work. Like you could have, and you're telling me you couldn't have found any holy water in your entire city? Get the fuck out
Right?
of here. You couldn't
Right?
have
Or that
anointed, like
salt wouldn't have
it
been
wouldn't
a
have
go-to.
worked. It
There
wouldn't have
had to have been
worked.
salt. Like, I know that's a real old practice. Salt over the shoulder, salt in your window sills. Like, why wouldn't you go for that
Well,
over?
salt is a very specific ingredient that's used for very specific types of things and entities. Um, so again, in this, like what she's dealing with, salt specifically wouldn't have done anything at all. But holy water could have at least helped, which she should have had access to. She goes to a fucking Catholic school. Like
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm more
anointing
like,
oil.
if you're
Why
gonna go along the lines of like ridiculous things with, I'm gonna put witchcraft in this movie, And I'm going to do it like this, though, that you're so left field. Why wouldn't you go somewhere at least close? You know, why are you way over there? Come back over here. There's plenty of lore over here.
It's because
what are you doing?
it's because the only people that are gonna get into it like this are the people
Jesus.
who actually like pagan shit and shit like this and fucking autistics. You just
You see that Venn diagram?
you
That's
hit
a circle. That's what you just created.
So it's very annoying, but I know why they did it.
So she puts those up in her sister's room and then in Antonio's room, and then they all go to bed. I want to say this may have been when I started getting distracted. She has another, this is where she starts seeing the shadow people. Mm-hmm. And they almost immediately shit on her protection. They're like, oh yeah, shadow person on the walls, which is very fucking creepy to me. I'm
stretchy. It's like Stretch Armstrong.
Just a shadow going, and you see the claws going, and then it gets to like where the paper is, and it's just like set fire. And then it goes down, and it starts choking her sister. So she runs over, and as she's trying to wake her up, the thing, it looks like she was choking her sister. So her sister wakes up going, why the fuck are you choking me right now? What is happening? And she's like, and she looks insane at this point. Like, already the demon has done its job. She looks pale. She's just like wide-eyed. She's like, it wasn't me. Get in the living room. And gets the kids all out of bed and gets them to the living room. Because she's like, if we're together, they can't get us. And they're just watching TV. And the sister's like, why were you choking me? And she was like, I wasn't choking you. Somebody else was choking you. And she's like, a man was here? And she was like, no, silly. It was Ghost. Like, oh, okay. Like that whole part was like, because it was, she really said it like, no, dumb. Nobody broke in. It's fucking Ghost.
Fucking Ghost.
And this is just like, I got it, you. That makes way more sense. Not even going to question it, which I get. I mean, she is like 8 at best, so you know, but still. Like, so then they start to hear.
They start to hear like footsteps and stuff, and then they see like you can see through the door
closed, wasn't it?
Well, you could see like through the door shadows moving, and she thinks that it's like the shadow person coming back. And the way that it's done, it kind of looks like the shadow person is coming back. And then the mom opens the door and turns on all the lights, and it's like, what the fuck are you guys all doing in the fucking living room? It got
a little more serious because at some point she stands up, like something happens that scares all of them, and she's like, this is where she goes to get her corkscrew cross.
Right, and she's holding it up.
Has the sisters behind her, and she has her hand up, and you know,
and then you open the door,
fucking ready, and then it's just mom, and mom's like, what the fuck is happening right now? And the teenager just like, nothing. As you're standing there with a fucking cross, everyone's crying. What is happening?
And then one of the little kids is like, there was a ghost in that.
As the little kid started worse. There was a man in the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's a fucking man in the house? And the teenager's like, nope, nothing happened. And she's like, I'm calling the cops. And then the little girl goes, no, a ghost.
It's a spirit.
There's a ghost. And the mom's like, hang up. Are you watching scary movies again? And the little girl, which I thought was odd because the little girl goes, a little bit. But it's like, you weren't watching scary movies. Like, you were watching, why would you say a little bit? So the mom's like, you know, don't let them watch that. Get your fucking mattresses, get your asses back to bed. Like, then she gets in there with the teenager. And I'm just like, this is where I did write down where I was like, I do sympathize with their family circumstance of being like the single mom, having to work so much. You do end up having to depend on your children if you don't have a good enough adult support system. But she's like, the teenager's pretty much shut down at this point. And like I said, she looks like shit. She's bruised, like she's pale. She looks like she hasn't bathed in months. It's been 24 hours. Like, she looks really bad. And I just like, as a mom, I would see my child in that condition and I would be more like, okay, I'm calling into work. Something's happening here. And I need you to talk to me right now.
With
Cause
the whole thing all
yeah,
together, and then her finding them and her looking like that, and, like, the
oh
mom's
yeah. But
response is
she's
like,
more, she comes off more, and I do sympathize. And I am going to say, 90s mom would have done this. Like, 90s mom is going to say, and she pretty much, she was like, I need you to fucking step up, get your shit together,
"Grow up," is
because
what
I
she said.
fucking need you, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, because she's like, because I'm alone. And the daughter goes, I'm alone. And I was like, the fucking, that's true. You need to like, it's give and take. You can't just like dump it all on her. My God. And
Yeah,
she's
it's
clearly sick. Like, even if you don't believe in paranormal, you have no idea what's happening. I would see my child go, get to the hospital. Are you dying? Have you lost all blood? What is happening right now? Like,
right.
but she
It's
doesn't.
like it's parentification at its
Oh
finest,
yeah.
and that's
The
just how
definition.
we grew up.
Yeah.
Like, I was born in '91, and it's just how you did things with the oldest. That's just fucking how it
Absolutely.
was. You didn't even have to be a single parent. It still just fucking happened, and it makes me like, I sympathize. I understand how you get there, but I don't fucking agree with it, and it pisses me the hell
Yeah.
off. And, like, this girl, how do you walk into this whole situation and then look at your kid like this, and literally, her literal words were, "I need you to grow up." She's 15.
Yeah.
These aren't her
Exactly.
kids.
And not
She
even like a, it's like the immediately, because this is where you also feel bad for her, is like, so she clearly looks sick, but she clearly has been very grown up for you and has been taking care of her
for a
siblings
long
and
time.
has been going to school. Like, you have taken her childhood from her, and now this one mistake happens, or because you don't know the situation, you clearly don't care to ask, but you're immediately on her ass, like, fucking do better. And as a 15-year-old kid, there's not gonna get better. Like, holy crap, man. Like, I do. So I felt bad for Veronica in this moment, because I was like, I can sympathize with a single mom. I get it when you have no support system, but my God, you still have to understand your kids are kids. And you gotta look for those signs of like, you're clearly overwhelmed. It's time for me to take over. Like,
Be a fucking parent.
yeah.
Be a
And
fucking parent.
so yeah,
I
in
think
this moment, I was like, holy, how are you? And I know it's a movie too. Like, and sometimes I always thought, so this might be where I'm just like misunderstanding things, but I always thought when they did that, because I feel like in every demon movie, the person ends up looking like shit, like really fucking bad. But
mhm.
it seems like nobody around them notices that. So I was like, is that just for the audience? Is that just so I don't forget how bad it's getting? Or is
No,
that
I
how
think
they
it's
actually look? Because nobody ever reacts to these people looking so bad.
I
Like,
think it's, so, yes, if you wanna get into the nitty-gritty of what happens when you're going through something like that, yes, it drains you physically and mentally, and yes, there's no life, it's draining the life out of you. Like, you're not well at all when you're in those types of situations. But also, I think that, it's two-pronged. I think they use it as a plot device
mm,
because nobody ever wants to believe in that shit, right? Like, if you're a true skeptic, it doesn't fucking matter, and you're just gonna assume that they're just not taking care of themselves. It's the whole thing with mental health of like, well, just
yeah,
go fucking take a shower. Like, you look greasy as shit. Go eat something. Go take a shower. Like, go do something for yourself. It's this assuming that they're just not taking care of themselves. And that happens in real life all the time.
yeah.
All the time. People That's why you hear when somebody like takes their own life, they'll be like, "Oh, well, we couldn't even tell." You can. You're just ignoring it.
I've always felt that way too. I'm like,
You're just
did you not,
ignoring
were
the
you that close
signs.
to them though? Because I feel like people really close to me can definitely tell and will say something to me. Like,
I've hit it before and I've hit it successfully, but there are certain people in my life that I've never been able to successfully, truly 100% hide from. and
Yeah.
it's because they pay attention. But the people in these, like, movies, like, the parental figures or, like, the people around them, they don't wanna believe it. So they're just not they just skip over it, and they make
Yeah.
excuses for it, and that's even when you're dealing not only with, like, possession movies, but any kind of mental illness in a movie, they just skip over it. It's just they say it's the same thing. You're just doing it on purpose, or you're just not doing well enough, and you should do better.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I can 100% see her looking at her kid and have her looking like that, and then her just being like, "You need to grow up, and you need to go just fucking bitch wash your face." Like, that
Yeah.
kind of self-help, hard, tough love bullshit. 100%.
Oh yeah. So we get another nightmare. This one, though, it jumps to like the morning, and her sisters are jumping on her bed. And they're like, "We're hungry, feed us, we're hungry." And she looks like crap. And then they start eating her,
Yeah, they
like
start eating her
pulling out
arm.
the tendons and stuff. Like, I was like, "Oh." And she's just like, "Ah." Like, and then she wakes up and she actually has a bite mark on her hand where her sister had bitten her and it's bruised. And at this point, she's like, "Fuck me, I gotta do something." So she went to pick up her book because she's trying to figure out the riddle the nun gave her, and because her book also got on fire. She sees a sentence that was like, "Make sure you," and she's like, "Make sure I do what?" So she goes back to the newspaper stand, buys another Ouija board, chucks it in the trash, just takes the how-to manual, and is like, "Make sure you close the door, you have to say goodbye." um so she goes to school, uh
She drops all
and
the kids off at her mom's restaurant.
yeah, she
She
did
drops
do
all the
that, which
kids
I
off.
thought was funny when the mom's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Fucking take the kids. I got a project. Goodbye."
Yeah.
Like, so then she gets the Ouija board. Then she goes and she is trying to find Rosa and the friend so they can redo the seance and close the door.
Mhm.
And um,
They're having a party.
yes, they're having a party. Well, no, first she goes to the school, goes back to Miss Nunn. They have
Yeah.
another tiny conversation. And then a teacher comes down and is like, "What are you doing with her? She shouldn't be down here." And she was like, "She was helping me with a project." And the lady said something about like, "It's all in a book." And the chick was like, "See, she's so fucking helpful." And then like they went upstairs. Then she gets the book. Then she goes to her friends, but they're at the party. They're having that party. And her friend Rosa is more like, "Why are you even fucking here right now? You should go home. Go lay down."
Right.
I think Rosa is probably the only character who doesn't say it, but you can tell she sees it. Like,
Mhm.
but she's not having it. At this point, she is kind of insane. And she's
Mhm.
just like, where the fuck's Becky? And she's running through the house screaming at everybody for Becky. She finally
Mhm.
finds her. She's making out with a boy in the kitchen. She like drags her away. And Becky's like, "Get the fuck off me, bro. Like, what are you
Right.
doing?" She's just like, "We gotta do it again. We gotta do it again." And so guys grab her and then push her outside. And they're like, "You go away now."
Mhm.
And Rosa
Mhm.
does come back outside and she's like, "You need to get your shit together. Like, do you know what you said to me that day?" And she's like, "No, I don't know what I fucking said to you that day. I don't remember." And she's like, "You said we're all gonna die."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Okay, Rosa, put your big girl panties on." Like, my God, she didn't say she was gonna rip your intestines out. Like,
Everybody's gonna die, Rosa.
I it just was the way she's acting, you would think Veronica had like personally threatened her, and it was like, come on, man. That was pretty lame. You could help out your friend, bro. But she doesn't. She's just kind of like, "Sorry, I'm gonna go be popular with Becky now, you fucking weirdo," and like leaves her, slams the door in her face. So
Mhm.
Veronica's like, "What else can I fucking do?" She goes back to the restaurant, grabs up the kiddos. Well, she did ask her mom. She was like, "Mom, please come home. I need you home now. I need you home tonight. It's
Right.
bad." And mom's like, "Oh, how about a picnic tomorrow? Huh?" And you could tell Veronica's like, "I fucking give up on you. Come on, kids, let's go." And like
Right.
she leaves the restaurant with the kids before her mom can even like hand them dinner. She's just like gone.
Yep.
And this is where she decides, you know what? I need 3 people. I got fucking 3 siblings. Let's go. And I was like, toddlers at work. Toddlers are demons. Let's
Jesus
go.
fucking Christ.
And this is where she hands little 3-year-old Antonio the photos of fucking druid relics or whatever the fuck they were supposed to be. It tells him, just go draw on the wall. Go draw this on the wall over
Everywhere.
there.
Everywhere.
Tells the sisters go get candles, and that they're gonna be doing this, and they gotta close the door and they gotta say goodbye. And I want to say also during this time she was running around the house. Oh, that's right. We gotta go back a little bit. When she did wake up from being bit, she had started her period.
Oh,
In her
yes.
dream.
I
The mom
forgot
had
that.
reached over and was like, I need you to grow up, and then clenched over, and then it showed blood pour, and then she gets up and then turns around. Like she looked down at her pants and there was like the tiniest little mark of blood. I was like, wow, they really wow. And then you turn around, there's like a little marks on the mattress, and she turns the mattress over because she was trying to clean her mattress, and she turned it over and she realized the underside of her mattress is like black. And
Right.
so then she goes to her siblings and they're all black down the undersides of their mat and person shape too. And then also on the bed frames and stuff. And this is where she's like, oh shit, gotta get this shit out of here. So she sets up the seance with her siblings. She tells Antonio to sit his ass on the couch because they only need 3 fingers because the gate only opens in odd numbers apparently. And they gotta say goodbye. And this is also, it made my ass itch, okay? And like all of our Ouija lore over here, you do have to say goodbye. That is absolutely Ouija lore.
You have to, you have to
But you
close.
have to actually spell it out. Goodbye, or with the planchette.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, they didn't do that. And she was like, we just need to say goodbye. And then she was like, and then sing a song, finalizes it. And it could be any song, apparently. And so they chose a song that only has 3 words in it. Like, and that you just say
They just
over and
kept
over
singing
again.
it.
When he first said it, I was like, oh, maybe that means happy birthday. No, it wasn't the happy birthday song. Like, just a really weird fucking song. So, and as they're singing it though, the shit's like, oh, you're kicking me out? And you see the shadow roll in, and the candles get all whooshy, and oh, Antonio. So like the doors all slam and stuff, and then he's like walking, and she's like, Antonio, get your ass over here. And he looks at her, and then they just grabs him by the shirt and like rips him out.
You're right.
And then so like the girls are screaming, she's like, Antonio, she's like, okay, you guys stay here, I gotta go run and get him. And their apartment was really interesting. They had windows in like their laundry room that also led to their bathroom. So it was like a window inside the apartment, which I was like, weird. So, but she looked over, saw him in the bathroom, and she broke the window to get to him. And then she like fell.
Yeah,
But she knocked herself out a little bit. Yeah. And then she kind of comes to, and she's like, fuck, Antonio. And she ends up getting slammed into the mirror. And she picks up a piece of glass. So she's like holding it, her hand's bleeding. And she's trying to find Antonio, and she does find him sitting somewhere.
He's in the bathtub. He's in the bathtub, and then the hand reaches and like yanks him to the other side of the bathtub.
But she gets him, and she runs out, and she gets the girls, and they are making it out. She gets the girls out. Oh wait, they call 911 first. That's what happened. Shit starts shaking. She calls 911. Antonio gets by the door. He gets yanked. She hangs up on 911, runs after Antonio, gets him, grabs the girls. They're running out. She pushes the girls out, and then she realizes, because the girls are like, where's Antonio? And she realizes she's not holding anybody. Like, Antonio's still in the apartment, and she's like, fuck. And she goes back to the apartment, and she sees herself. She finds Antonio in her closet. And this is where she first, like, she's holding the glass in her hand, and Antonio is covering his ears saying her name. And it all kind of hits her, because earlier there was a scene where she went to talk to him, and she's like, why is this book on the ground? He was like, oh, Papa came to read it to me. And she's like, what'd you fucking say? And she was like, next time he comes here, you put your fingers in your ears and you call my name really loud, and I'll protect you. You don't listen to him. And so Antonio was doing that, and it made her look in the mirror and realize she's the bad thing. And as the cops are coming, she's like, the only way to stop it is to kill myself. So you see her kind of pull the knife up, but then it like shows the dark figure behind her, and then it ends up holding her and like stuffing his hand down her mouth as the cops are coming in. So all they see is her just floating like, and then she drops. and they're just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yep.
And then it's like the mom had saw the police lights. She's already run to the apartment. She found her little ones, and they
get Antonio out.
yeah, they grab Antonio, they get him out, they get her on a gurney. She's not quite dead yet. And then they're kind of looking around the room, and I want to say they see something else or hear some knocking or something. But
Yeah. They see, like, all of the shit, like, all the candles and the Ouija board, and, like, the
yeah,
detective is looking around, and then he gets the call on
yeah,
his
that she's
radio.
passed.
She's passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then her picture, he's walking back through the living room, her picture hits the ground and kind of sets on a little fire, not like a big fire,
Like, in
just
her
like a little
face.
smolder, just enough to burn her face off.
Yep.
And then it goes out. And then it pulls up the whole, this was a true story. This was the first documented top case of a haunted situation. And then it just ends from there. So
Yep.
that's it. That's the whole movie. And
Yep.
it was pretty good. I mean, for the possession genre, I think it's up there. I'll give
Yeah.
it, yeah,
Yeah.
I give it like especially the first time. Like I said, this is the second time me watching it, and I was gonna watch it at nighttime with the lights off, and then I was like, what are you doing? And stopped and wait till it was daytime, because it would have fucking creeped me out for sure. Would have had trouble sleeping.
Yeah,
Would
it's
have had to go watch
sufficiently
some like
creepy.
Dory or shit before I could
Yeah,
go
I
to
mean, it's
sleep.
sufficiently creepy. It wasn't scary to me, like, I put scary and creepy on, like, 2 separate planes. It was sufficiently creepy,
Yeah,
but it you still see even today, there's still all these TikTokers that put it, like, at the top of their list of, like, number 1 scary movies, and I'm just like, "Nah." Like, it was good, you should watch it, especially if you like
yeah.
horror movies, like, it's a good
I
one.
do think I agree with that, because I think if someone was like, "Oh yeah, what are your favorite scary movies?" I do gotta say this isn't one that ever pops in my head. After it's a good watch. You will enjoy it, but it's not one that it doesn't stick with you.
Right.
Like other movies can stick with you.
Yeah, it's one of
So
the better, like, possession demon movies out
for
there. It's
sure,
definitely
yeah,
up there on that specific genre. It's just that specific genre of horror movies is not my top horror movie.
yeah,
Like, it's just it's that's a fun thing that we decided to just watch on a weekend. I think that's when we first watched it, was just, like, we were just searching for horror movies to watch because we watch
yeah.
almost all of them, and it was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And, like,
It was worth it.
it's
Yeah,
good, but it's just it wasn't.
and I feel like I already knew this, but it just reminded me the word for ghost in Spanish is fantasma.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, nah, I like that word. So you'll pick up some Spanish, you watch it enough. Uh, but yeah, so I give it like a good 7 out of 10 stars. Good watch, good effects. They
Yeah, the
definitely
effects were really
weren't
good.
lacking. They were really good effects, and I do like, because I do think it is very common and tropey in these type of movies for the person to end up being like gangly and some weird body things happening. And they didn't really go there with this movie. With this movie, you saw the demons instead, which I liked. It's different.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and they did really good because, like, if you like, you really have to pay attention. Because if you're not paying attention, once you get to the end, then it really is like, "Oh, shit, it was her." Like, it was
yeah,
her doing all of these things. She just was, like, out of her body when they were happening. She wasn't, like,
which just
awake.
so that's the thing. Most of these movies take it for the outside looking in perspective of me seeing the possessed person. So I'm seeing the person get
Right,
all mangly and stuff. This was from the possessed perspective out. So you're
right,
seeing what's in her mind, what she's seeing, while the rest of the world is seeing what you would normally see in an exorcist movie, like
right.
type movie. Uh so yes, very cool. I like that.
Yeah,
That's
it
got
was
me
good.
more
That was
excited.
well done. That
Yeah,
was
very well
really
done.
well done the way
Well
that they
done,
did
sir.
that.
Let me get a little clap for you. All right, so we gotta take a break, and then we'll be back with the true story of Veronica. And we're back with the true story of Veronica, which was not about a Veronica. It was about an Okay, I'm gonna butcher this, and I'm really fucking sorry. Estefania Gutierrez Lorazio.
Not bad.
Thank you. Who, like in the movie, was I don't want to say, they made it sound like even less in the movie, was just your normal 15-year-old girl who her parents found some occult things around, but like which one of us didn't, you know? Like you dabble in it a little. Uh so her and her friends got together and decided that it would be super fun to have a Ouija seance at their school. But Estefania had her mom and dad, so they were trying to talk to the boyfriend who died in a motorcycle accident. And they set it all up and they're getting it done, but they were interrupted by a nun who worked at the school, and stomping out the candles and stuff and trying to stop them from what they were doing, broke the Ouija board. But then they were all just sent home. Pretty immediately, Estefania starts hallucinating, saying she's seeing shadow people, and like growling and doing really manic things around her house and to her family. And unfortunately, while in the movie, this all went over just 3 days, for poor Estefania, it was a year. So it happened to her in 1990, and for a year, she suffered through, and her family suffered through, having to take her to different hospitals and try to, because she was having seizures and these crazy manic attacks, and doctors couldn't find anything. They were like, I don't know, you seem fine to us, like, and her family was just suffering. And then one day when they were at the hospital, she ended up, they didn't know what was wrong. And I would say a couple of different articles had kind of different things. One had it was a seizure happened. Another had that she just had heart issues and her heart gave out. But she dies in a hospital. But a little before this, because she was manic and then the way she died, then her family wanted to get the cops involved, of just something's happening with our daughter in our home. We need to get the cops involved. And so this is where the actual cop documentation happened, because apparently when they did come to her house, they did like see a cabinet open just on its own, and then apparently even heard loud knocking all around them when they were the only people in the apartment and stuff. And a cop actually, like, this was the first case where they did, it was in documentation, like they said, fucking shit was happening around us, file that, like, there's your case right there. And unfortunately, even after Estefania was gone, the family claimed that they still were haunted hardcore, things flying off shelves. They could still hear Estefania screaming. The mom woke up to shadow people choking her. And this went on, I want to say they said, I want to say they said like a decade, or it even maybe never ended. So then I found an article, like that's pretty much the story. That's kind of where, and I found an article that had the director talking about why he chose this story, and he said he chose the story because in Spain this story is like everywhere, and it's a true story, but it's been told and retold so many times it almost has a legend quality to it, and he wanted to put his own spin on this legend. And so that's why even when I was trying to find articles, there was a lot of different things that were just off just by a little bit. So you don't, I never got a good ending of like, but what happened to her family? Did they have to move? Like, I did find one article that said they got a priest, but it still didn't say like what happened. But they did end it by saying, yeah, I guess they did find the family like once the movie was happening, and they did say that that scene where the cop sees the picture fall over and the face smudge, she's like, that happened. That really happened. Like, they're saying that was the truest part of this movie, that shit happened. Otherwise, the movie's very different from what their daughter actually experienced. And that's pretty much, that's it. That's what I found on it.
Okay. Only one article said they called a priest. You said
Yeah.
again, you don't get anybody
And
of
apparently
substance
they didn't
involved.
call the priest until after the daughter. Like, and they also, oddly enough, never used the word demon. They only said an evil was after their family.
Oh, I mean, that makes sense when you think of culturally, um, in heavily Catholic countries like that. That does make sense culturally for them to just say overall it's an evil.
Yeah.
But still, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense for such a heavily religious culture that you're a part of. And I'm assuming, I mean, you're saying that she did in fact go to like Catholic school,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So again,
Wasn't none that got her.
like nobody, like what I
Yeah.
just
Why
I don't
wasn't?
understand the logic, right? If you
Yeah.
have this belief system and it is so heavily ingrained into you and into your culture and you still don't.
Yeah. It is really weird to me because it is, the Catholics are one of the only sectors of church. I won't say the only, but they are the big ones who are like, yes, demons are very real. Yes, exorcisms are real. Like, they're very picky about it. They're not quick to shove that label just on anything. But
Oh,
they
they have
are
to
one of the
be.
sects that you're like, if demons, they're the ones to go to. Like, famously, they're the ones you go to. And it is odd to me that in a Catholic country that wouldn't be the trope here, or that wouldn't, or even be the thing that apparently they did. Like, so
Because
it's,
like even okay, like so the uh, uh, it is very stringent to get the Catholic Church officially involved, and that's just because of lawsuits because they've been sued before, and like you can't. How do you prove
yeah,
a demon in a court of law? You famously you can't. The Warrens tried in America, they couldn't do it. So like I it is very stringent to get that placed upon there, but there is help for you if you seek it with the Catholic Church and you believe something is happening, even if they don't go full like
yeah.
uh, full exorcism on you, there's still help that they will give you
I mean, yeah.
without
Even
going the full way. So like why
any father will come over and just even bless your house on like a
Doug,
basic
I
level. Like,
we're not
why?
even Catholic. And when before they knew I was bipolar, when I was like 5 years old, our pastor from our Methodist church came over and blessed a big ass Tupperware thing of crayons for me to sleep with because I was seeing shit and like
Clowns.
having hallucinations. Yeah, all my bipolar, my hallucinations started very young. They started with sleep problems and I
No, I
would
get that. Why did he bless crowns?
because I was a weird kid and he asked me what my favorite toy was and I had this box, this literally a Tupperware box. It was huge. It was like one of those big thick ones, like this big,
Yeah.
full of just busted ass crayons I drew all the time. That was my favorite toy. I had to pick something to sleep with. So
I
he
just love how
blessed
this
this
whole story,
fucking
you thought I was interested in your hallucinations. No, I want to know about your crowns.
why are you
What's
sleeping with
happening with
fucking
those?
crayons? But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he came over and like blessed our whole house, and we were Methodist. So like, you're
Yeah.
telling me in a Catholic culture they couldn't come? Like, it just doesn't. It's not
It's
computing.
really
It
not
doesn't
computing up
make
here.
sense.
No.
It doesn't make sense. And like,
Are we just,
even if you don't call the priest, even if you don't call the priest, okay, my stepmom they're crazy religious. They used to be Pentecostal. My dad was a pastor. She will fucking pray the blood over you. She will bless oil herself and anoint you. And you're telling me in a Catholic country, you don't have a fucking candle, a prayer candle. You don't. It's not. I don't understand it.
I only thing I can even think of is maybe what we think is Catholicism is just not Catholicism to Europeans. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just
That's
think it
no.
because it's in our movies and how our Catholics are, but like, maybe they got a different sector happening and they're just like, yeah, this just, those are
No.
stereotypes, people.
No, that's
Like,
definitely not it. I almost want to say maybe it was something social. Like they didn't want to have people know. It was easier just to keep it to themselves and try to keep it contained, and maybe it was easier for them to just believe that it really was something physical, and that's why they kept taking her to doctors. Because I bet you fucking $10 some of the hospitals and the doctors they took her to were ran by the fucking Catholic Church, because that's how
oh
that
yeah,
shit runs when you're so like entrenched in Catholicism. Like I 100%. The only thing that makes sense is that socially they didn't want it getting out, so they tried to DIY it.
yeah.
That
Or
didn't fucking work.
what if it's so common and so socially like acceptable there, it's just not part of the story because it's like they haven't specifically said we suck. Now it doesn't make sense. That they did say doctors. So I was like, you don't necessarily name the doctor, but she got doctor help. But like, no, you still name the doc. We took her to the
Well,
church. We took her to the doctor.
my
But
thing is with the story that gets that big, right? When you get into urban legend territory within a society and a culture, especially when it's now been transferred and they're making movies and shit about it, somebody's gonna say something. Some priest is gonna come out or some nun and be like, yeah, we we couldn't accept her for X, Y, and Z, but we tried to help. We did whatever.
yeah,
Because it's like, I mean, you see so many other movies, especially horror movies and exorcism movies that are based on true events, and you do have a record of the priests. They come out and they'll say like, yeah, we tried to help, or they weren't accepted by the Catholic Church because of X, Y, and Z, or like there's some kind of record keeping, especially when the story gets that big and that well known, which is why I'm saying it's the only thing that I can think of that makes sense is for some reason that family just did not reach out for the appropriate help. Maybe they were in denial. Maybe they
yeah,
didn't want to believe this. Maybe they thought that their daughter was just fucking crazy and they were trying to contain it, you know?
yeah. Or
Maybe
what if it isn't a true story?
it could
And
be.
that's
It's
why the
just a
church
fucking
hasn't
urban
spoken on it
legend.
because it's not even a true story. And it was some cop who just said some shit and then they created this whole event around it.
Maybe she really just was like bipolar
Yeah.
because I mean, in the 90s,
Oh yeah.
you can get lithium like shoved down your throat.
Yeah.
They didn't have you couldn't just pop a Seroquel and go the fuck to sleep. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like maybe she really was manic. Maybe she really was just having just hallucinations, but then it grew into this big story of
Or
some type
maybe
of
her parents are
possession.
scam artists and they use their child's disability just for. So I will say, like the first half of the articles where her name is mentioned and what she was going through sounds reasonable. Sounds like okay, that probably happened. The stories that come after are kind of like feels a bit extreme. You're a picture caught fire, like
So it
it
just starts
really escalates
compounding.
even after the daughter died. So then it's just like, I don't know, it feels
Mm,
off,
sounds like
you
a
know?
case of the Warrens. If that's how it's reading, it sounds like a case of the some bullshit the Warrens would make up to sell a book. That's what it sounds like.
We're gonna have to do the conjuring at some point so I can make you angry
Oh,
with
I'm all in.
it.
You want my notes? I've got like 10 pages of notes from when Chaotic Nonsense did the episode on the Warrens. I can talk about the Warrens all fucking day. Like, we might need to flip that script and I will tell you the story of what
I'll
happened
do
because
it.
I know it. I got it. It's all locked away. One of our best quotes ever came from that episode, and that is there's no vacancy for ghosts. That's why I don't like big houses.
Yeah.
There's too much space. There's too much empty space. You got to fill it with shit where there's no vacancy for ghosts. If there's nothing in there, they're just
Yeah.
running
Have to do that.
wild. Running wild. Just they fill up the space. No, no vacancy for ghosts. I will talk about the Warrens all fucking day. Special
You
interest.
got an empty room? It got ghosts now.
Vacancy.
That's how you get
It's
ghosts.
a big open sign. It's an
See,
open sign. Just
I
hello.
don't live in a tiny house because I'm poor. I live here so no
'Cause I
ghosts
fill
can.
We got a shoe corner. You can't. Where are they gonna stand? On the shoes? No, that's uncomfortable. Where are you going? I got too much
up
shit.
in the corner. Bitch.
See me with the bird. Get down. I said no vacancy. This is like Jesus of Nazareth, all right? Go to the barn.
Jay, open the window. We need to get it out of here. Go get. There you go.
Like a bird. Get out of here. Gone. Fucking
It's just in the corner. That would be super funny if the world came to a point where like the shit happened, the veil somehow came down, and like ghosts became just like an everyday. Everyone sees ghosts. Of course, they're ghosts. You know, to where people would be like, "Dad, Jimmy, open the door. Another one's in. You got the trap. You got the trap."
This is your family. This is your great aunt Myrtle. Tell her get out of here. Tell her we don't have to use Ritz crackers on the chicken no more.
Just have a ghost on the porch.
We don't use lard in this house.
Turner. Damn it, Aunt Betty! Nobody does that anymore. Go back to the cemetery.
We don't use lard. We're vegan.
Boy, I'm rolling in my grave. You just said that. Like, good. Go do it. The hole is over there. Get out of my house.
I'm just imagining my country ancestors like looking in the window, just going, "That boy ain't right."
Send me back. I don't like this. What the hell is happening?
Talking like the ancestors from fucking Mulan. They get that from your side of the family.
We went wrong. So wrong. Right. Logging off. I think that's a great note to end on.
Go on get it.
Go on get y'all. We'll see you next week.